right of self-ownership and private property, some system, some people may look at minarchism as an acceptable system. I do not, because I think it ultimately violates those principles, but some system that maintains private property rights and does not take or steal in the form of taxation, in the form of violence, in the form of any coercion, which is the principle based behind the non-aggression principle. I'm not going to get too deep into defining the non-aggression principle because I'm sure there's probably going to be some back and forth on that. Now, I am talking to Big Papa Fascist here that I know is a conservative Christian right-winger. And so I offer a challenge tonight for this debate. And that is what I need you to do is either accept anarchism and accept voluntarism and get rid of the idea that you support a state, or I need you to denounce Christ and I need you to give up that you believe in the Bible as divinely inspired by God. And I think throughout tonight, we're going to go through several arguments that I believe explain that if you are a true Christian, you cannot believe in the theft and slavery and robbery of the state. And that by saying you are a Christian, you must be an anarchist, at least in your end goal. And if you do not claim to be an anarchist, you cannot claim to be a Christian. And I'm sure there will be a spicy bit of back and forth on that as well, but I will cede the rest of my time and see how you respond to that.
You're going to get wrecked real bad. Life, I just want to let you know, everybody, life in Ancapistan was a very strange place, Ancapistan. Zen Shapiro's dream of an abortionless world, it's destroyed because the market demanded more abortions to combat promiscuous sex, and so there were more. Sin's dream of a society that valued truth no longer existed, as the private entities who investigated lies were easily corrupted by the all-powerful dollar. The market didn't lean on ethics, only products. The Hatfield and McCoy war continues, only now they use private military contractors to pick each other off. Your neighbor blew himself up trying to start a fireworks side gig and took his whole family out with him. You can't quite figure out why that man over there is allowed to masturbate next to that private school out in public, but he owns the property, so he isn't technically doing anything wrong, is he? Animal rights activism has changed from abuse of animals to Ancapistan's first campaign to stop degenerates from fucking them. Of course, that isn't going anywhere, as animals are private property, you see. Yes, everywhere in Ancapistan is wonderfully degenerate. We have all bowed to our corporate overlords who run this entire nation with zero checks and balances because, after all, market forces determine the people are only getting what they want. Our highest and most noble aspiration is self-ownership and individual freedom. If only we could afford to drive on those toll roads. Oops, I'm not going out tonight. I forgot the milk at the store, but the toll to cross the bridge will cost me 3 times more than the fucking milk that I left there. Reproduction is almost phased out as private companies realized they could sell anything to young men as long as they strapped a good-looking enough woman they could fuck around it. A night with Cynthia for every car sold. A blowjob from Monica if you buy this gun today. Red light districts require zoning and planning. Sure, a brothel who whores out 16 and 17-year-olds just opened up next to that high school advertising in neon lights that life would be better if your child quit and came over and blew strangers for a lot of money. It was their property, after all. Drugs aren't just legal in Ancapistan, but an age restriction isn't enforceable. So the guy who just made the newly minted drug in his basement that's going to for sure kill your 13-year-old after he sells it to him is hanging out on the playground and waiting for a mark. No state-sponsored mental health facilities in Ancapistan, so no real investigation into those 2 janitors who the patients say raped them at night. After all, what recourse do you have? Are we to take the word of a crazy person inside of our privately run mental institution? Thank God for for-profit prisons. They exist here in Ancapistan too. They work about as good as they did when the state allowed for-profit prisons to exist, which is to say, like dog shit. Fair trials don't exist. After all, private citizens pay the judges and jury. That doesn't favor the ultra-wealthy, ever. Yes, it's true. Discrimination is high in Ancapistan, but that's only because we can't tell private businesses who they can or can't serve. The whites only sign and blacks only signs are a mark of our freedom, damn it, especially in hospitals and when it comes to loans. Ancapistan was truly a glorious place until that one time that a professional state-sponsored military using a draft program with 10 times the numbers as we had invaded and subjugated us. That was the end of Ancapistan. It was still, though, a really good idea. Seriously, it was. It was a super good idea, guys. Super good idea. And with that, I'll yield the time over.
All right, gentlemen, we will now go into cross-examination, so you guys can have at it.
All right, awesome. So, which of the straw men would you like me to engage with first? Because you didn't present a real argument.
Didn't need to. Well, wait. Back up. Every one of those is actually an argument because every one of those things is actually something that you believe in. Can a person?
No, I don't. No,
Okay,
I don't believe in
then you
any
don't.
of those things.
Okay, gotcha. So
And you're wrong on every single one of them.
Is there
and it
a
just shows
state?
you don't understand.
Do you
anything
have
about
do you have
anarcho-capitalism.
a state in your worldview?
You can have a state under anarcho. No, you can have
Do
a government.
you have
You
a
can't have a
state?
state. No,
Do you have a state in your worldview?
no. There's no state. There can be
There's
governments.
no state. So who stops a man from jerking off on his private property next to a private
All right,
school?
cool. So we'll engage with that. That's the
Yeah.
one that you chose.
Let's start with that.
Okay, so who stops the man from jerking off, right?